Subscribe to Echoes of the Horizon today.
Air India Flight 182 was a scheduled international flight from Toronto Pearson International Airport as Air India Flight 181 to Sahar International Airport with regular Mirabel London-Delhi stops. The flight was as follows: from Toronto to Montreal, from Montreal to London, from London to Delhi, from Delhi to Mumbai. This was no accident, it was a plotted act of terrorism. Investigators established that members of a Sikh extremist group called Babar Khalsa planned and placed bombs intended to detonate mid-air. Their motive traced back to political and sectarian conflict in India after Operation Blue Star in 1984. Operation Blue Star was a military operation conducted by the Indian Armed Forces in June 1984 to remove militant Sikh separatists from the Golden Temple in Amritsar, a significant event in Indian history that had lasting repercussions. There were actually two bombs involved in the broader plan. One was intended for AI-1A2, but it wasn't placed directly by someone who boarded with it. The other was meant for Air India Flight 301, but it exploded prematurely in Tokyo's Narita airport, killing two baggage handlers before that flight ever took off. In both cases, the bombs originated from luggage checked in Vancouver under false or misleading names, and they were meant to reach the Air India aircraft through connecting flights. Individuals involved in the plot checked in luggage at Vancouver International Airport on flights that would be routed onward to the Air India flights. Those passengers never boarded any of the flights, only their bags did. One suitcase containing a bomb was routed via Canadian Pacific Airlines to Toronto, where it was transferred as checked luggage onto Air India Flight 181. Another bomb suitcase went on a separate flight toward Tokyo, intended for AI Flight 301. Around 15 UTC, about 8:15 p.m. local, on June 22nd, AI-182, then operating as Flight 181, left Toronto Pearson International Airport for Montreal Mirabel. In Montreal, 105 more passengers boarded, bringing the total to 329 occupants, 22 crew plus 307 passengers. Flight 182 then departed Montreal, bound for London Heathrow before onward stops in Delhi and Bombay. At about 7:14 to 7:15 UTC, while cruising at 31,000 feet over the Atlantic Ocean, about 190 kilometers west-southwest of Ireland, the bomb hidden in luggage in the forward cargo compartment suddenly detonated. The explosion was sudden and catastrophic. It caused rapid decompression and structural breakup of the aircraft at altitude. There was no warning or emergency call from the crew. The blast was so sudden, the aircraft disintegrated before any distress communication could be sent. The plane disappeared from radar screens when it exploded. Large sections of the aircraft fell into the Atlantic Ocean, and wreckage was scattered over a wide area. Emergency rescue crews were immediately dispatched, including Irish and British maritime units. Only 131 bodies were ever recovered from the sea. The rest were lost in the ocean. This remains one of the deadliest aviation terror attacks in history, the deadliest before the 9/11 attacks, and the worst in Canadian history. An investigation was launched into the accident. The rest of the investigation will be carried forward by our teammate Matt after summarizing the video.
For decades, one of the deadliest air disasters in history has been defined by two totally conflicting stories. Was it a horrific act of terror, or was it a catastrophic mechanical failure? Today, we're going to unpack the evidence and the enduring mystery of Air India Flight 182.
So, picture this. It's June 23, 1985. Air India Flight 182, a huge Boeing 747, is on its way from Montreal to London. Everything's going exactly as planned. They're cruising at 31,000 feet over the Atlantic, about 110 miles off the coast of Ireland, and then at 0714 GMT, it just disappears from air traffic control radar. Gone.
The result was just a catastrophic loss of life. That number, it represents every single person on board, all 329 passengers and crew. They were all lost. There were no survivors, which at the time made it the deadliest single-plane disaster ever. Now, investigators from Canada, India, and the UK, they all agreed on what happened, just not why it happened. The aircraft experienced a sudden, violent breakup in midair. So the big question was, what on earth could cause a massive 747 to just disintegrate at cruising altitude? Everyone agreed it was a powerful explosion, but what caused it? Well, that's where the story splits wide open. Okay, to really get a handle on the two competing theories, we have to understand this concept. Explosive decompression. It's a symptom of a hole in the plane, it's not the cause itself. Just think of it like popping a balloon. It's the violent result of all that high-pressure air inside the cabin bursting out into the thin air outside. A bomb could definitely cause it, for sure, but so could a major structural failure. And this right here is the central point where the two theories go in completely different directions. All right, so let's dig into theory one, a terrorist bomb. This was the official conclusion of the Indian government's investigation. And honestly, for years, it was the accepted story for what happened. You know, the case for a bomb wasn't really built on physical proof from the wreckage itself, but on a trail of some highly suspicious circumstantial evidence on the ground. Investigators found passengers who had manipulated their tickets, an unaccompanied suitcase that was checked onto the flight, and this is the really crucial part, a nearly simultaneous explosion at Narita Airport in Japan. A bomb in a suitcase that was supposed to go on another Air India flight exploded, and it killed two baggage handlers. The timing, it just felt too perfect, suggesting a coordinated, two-pronged attack. It made the bomb theory seem incredibly plausible.
The official Indian investigation, the Kirpal report, was absolutely firm in its conclusion. It stated there was both circumstantial and direct evidence of a bomb. So for many people, this official verdict, which was also rooted in the political context of Sikh extremism in Canada at the time, pretty much closed the case.
But, you know, that official story, it just didn't sit right with everyone, especially when you started looking really closely at the actual physical evidence. Years later, an independent investigator named John Barry Smith re-examined all of it and proposed a totally different cause, not a conspiracy on the ground, but a fatal flaw in the aircraft itself. So, Smith laid out this clear, four-step mechanical sequence. He argued that some faulty wiring activated the forward cargo door's unlatch motor while the plane was in the air. This, he said, forced the door open, which then triggered that catastrophic explosive decompression that brought the whole plane down. In his version of events, no bomb was ever needed.
So, here we are with two compelling but completely conflicting narratives. It's time to do what investigators do: weigh the evidence. Which theory does the actual wreckage pulled up from the ocean floor really support?
And what's really fascinating here is that both theories actually agree on one crucial detail: the location of where it all started. All the investigators concluded the explosion, whatever caused it, came from the forward cargo compartment on the starboard or right side of the plane.
Okay, this is where the case against the bomb theory really starts to get traction. I mean, sure, both sides can explain the loud bang on the cockpit voice recorder and the power cutting out at the same time, but the physical evidence? That's where things start to diverge. Here's the most important part. No piece of a bomb, not a timer, not a fuse, no conclusive explosive residue was ever recovered from the wreckage. Ever. And what's more, autopsies show that the victims suffered injuries from the rapid decompression, but not the burn or shrapnel wounds you'd absolutely expect from a high-explosive bomb.
So, what should a bomb look like? Well, this photo you're seeing is from a test where investigators deliberately set off a bomb inside a 747. You can see that violent outward explosion and the very distinctive way the metal is torn. This gives us a really clear benchmark for what they should have been looking for. And here's the crucial point. The wreckage of Flight 182 showed none of these classic signatures. There was no severe pitting, no cratering, and no hot gas washing on any of the recovered metal. All of those are telltale signs of a bomb blast. The physical evidence, it just didn't match the fingerprint of the bomb theory.
Smith also pointed out a really disturbing pattern of incidents with other 747s. You had Pan Am 103 and TWA 800, which also involved explosions near that same forward cargo area. And then you had United 811, which was a confirmed case where a faulty cargo door blew open, causing an explosive decompression that was eerily similar to his theory for Flight 182. This suggested the problem might not have been a one-off, but maybe, just maybe, a systemic flaw in the plane's design. So all of this leaves us with a pretty profound conflict. On one hand, you've got a compelling circumstantial case for terrorism, but on the other, you have a stark lack of physical evidence for a bomb, combined with a very plausible mechanical alternative. Even the official Canadian report reflects this deep uncertainty. See, unlike the Indian report, the Canadians confirmed an explosion happened in the forward cargo hold, but they very cautiously refused to state a definitive cause. Their wording really shows that the evidence just wasn't conclusive enough to point the finger squarely at a bomb. So, in the end, we are left with two completely different stories. Both of them spun from the exact same set of facts. One is a story of human malice and terror. The other is a story of a fatal, hidden flaw in a machine. The case of Air India Flight 182 really forces us to ask a difficult question. When a powerful story, a powerful narrative built on circumstantial evidence, clashes directly with the silent testimony of the physical wreckage, which one tells the truer story? That right there remains the unanswered question at the very heart of this tragedy.
.399 lives lost. The tragedy of Air India Flight 182 wasn't just an act of terror. It was a failure of systems, warnings, and coordination, and its consequences reshaped aviation security forever. But for the families, the story never truly ended.
Echoes of the horizon. Where every echo is a legacy.